Hello everyone, welcome to week 9 of the Gran Turismo weekly race guide, and as you can see in the background, we are at Fuji for this one, and we are in Porsches. We have had this combo before. But let's have a look at the race details first of all. We are racing 4 laps here at Fuji. It's a grid start, and we are on sport soft tyres. Now you have a choice of 2 cars. You have the Porsche 911 993 Carrera RS CS 1995 car, or the Porsche 911 997 and GT3 2009 car. Now, if you want stability, you go with the newer car, 997 GT3. If you want pure speed and think you can handle it, you go with the Carrera RS. Now, I decided I thought I could handle it. Let's jump to the race and let's find out if I could handle it. Here we are then at the start of the grid. A lovely light blue Porsche at the front there. That's DODGY. We're starting P11, but you can see most people do go for the newer car because it is more stable. As I say, you want that stability here really, and that's the one I probably would recommend. However, as I say, I'm risking it for a biscuit, obviously, because I'm British. Traction control on 1 for the start. Just make sure you get going and then turn it off before you change gear, although we hit the limiter there, which isn't the best thing in the world. Now heading towards turn 1, everyone taking my advice, I always say at Fuji, stay to the right, so I'm just like, well, I've got a whole load of track here that I'm going to try and take advantage of. So you see I'm going around the outside of a lot of people. Unfortunately there was a bit of a tap there from somebody. P1 comes back on circuit as well. All very carnagey, very, very quickly. However, it all does settle down very nicely here as we then head towards the left. I'm going to back out of this because there is a car on my inside. I didn't want to force any issue here and get out of the race early. Heading to the right-hander then, and there's just a little bit of a gap there that's opened up. Remember, on this corner, never brake, or only brake if you have to, should I say, actually. It's probably a better way to describe it, because it makes your car unsettle very quickly. You can see a lot of oversteer is happening on here. As we come through here, there's my bit of oversteer. That's why I'm keeping it in 3rd gear. If it was in 2nd, it really would rotate very quickly. So, all line astern for the moment. Obviously, heading towards the chicane. It isn't going to end like that. You've seen that on the TV camera as well as we head down in towards the chicane then. A little bit of bashing there. It looks like the Spaniard went a little bit too deep. Hit Lucky Extreme there. And yeah, it's all very close here. So far it's been a little bit pushy, but we're surviving so far. The French driver on our inside just outbrakes himself a little bit here. Pushes us out really wide. That's the problem being outside, on the outside line there. As we look on the inside, French driver just forcing the issue a little bit there. In towards the left and pushing not enough room given, or just enough, I don't know, it's all just a bit taggy. But I was actually thankful that the penalty system is very lax here in this situation, because I imagine a lot of penalties would have been handed out and that would have been the end of the race, which I wouldn't really want. Anyway, we get a run on the Italian here, so we go for a very wide line out, and then we look to try and get the move done on the newer car there, the newer 911. Now you can see here they're in the slipstream, I am not, and they're not really pulling ahead here, which shows you the speed of this car, to be honest, which up ahead is pulling away. Now the 911 does start to increase that slowly but surely. But as we head towards turn 1, I've highlighted 2 markers here. So I brake just after the tarmac on the left, but before the light on the right. Okay, that's critical here. If you brake any further than that light, you're not making the corner. As you see here, you think I'm going to outbrake myself here. Yeah, we stop it. And you may want to just dab the accelerator a little bit halfway through that braking phase. Just dab it a tiny bit, because what that will do is stabilise the car a little bit, generate understeer, stop any oversteer happening. Head towards the next turn then, on the right hand side. Look at the 100 meter board. We don't usually use this very often, but these cars brake, they don't brake very well, so you are using the earlier brake markers. 100 meter board just after that, brake, and I'm staying in 4th gear in the Carrera RS here. So through here, as I said earlier on, excuse me, I'm suddenly choking. You notice I'm just bouncing the throttle out. Oh, I dabbed the brake a little bit here. That's to avoid hitting DODGY. And then as I straighten up here, this is how I want to brake. And I'm braking well before that 50 meter marker. I'm pointing my car to it. That's why I've highlighted it. I want to straight line brake this as best as I can. The minute I'm straight, brake and turn in. I'm going to keep it in 3rd gear, which initially you think is too low in the gears, but you don't want the gear delay from 2nd to 3rd. And it just provides that bit of stability there. The wheels aren't spinning up, which is what you actually want. So I'm going to head down towards this chicane, which I really do hate. You can see some quite aggressive defensive driving there, but you're going to just brake just before the Dunlop sign here. I'm actually braking a little bit earlier here because I can see sort of the carnage happening. I'm trying to decide where to go. So you see I'm constantly lifting off the brakes, so I'm trying to decide where to go. So I decided to try and go on the outside. DODGY unfortunately has gone off again there, just comes back on, so we're involved in that incident. Now we would have got a penalty with the old penalty system, so I'm glad about that. But as we head up here then, The most famous brake marker I use here at Fuji on the right side, the light or tannoy, whatever it is, that's what I use for this right-hander. Very nice and easy. And again, stay in third gear. Third gear is your friend in this car as we come through here. Let's try and get on the inside of Lucky Extreme here. And you can see just people are struggling with that Carrera. So the next brake marker here, just after that curb, is when you're going to want to start braking. Again, stay in the same gear you're in already. You don't want to cause any weight shifts in the car as you head into this left-hander. Unfortunately, just a little bit of a tag there. I'm not sure whether there's a little bit of push there or anything, but I wasn't too fussed. I didn't see us dirty driving as we head into the right-hander, the final corner, using the orange paint it on the under that barrier there. That's what I use. Familiar brake markers to you if you've watched these weekly race guides, as we are approaching a year now of producing them. And yeah, that's my usual marker at Fuji. So we'll leave there, and we're going to kick off with a little bit of racing. Well, we've had a lot of racing so far, but this race is one I would potentially avoid if you get frustrated very easily. Now, I was frustrated at the end of this race, and you'll see why as we go through it, because you notice there's been a little bit of contact. But as I say, with the old penalty system, I'm feeling, because I was on the outside most of the time, I would have got the penalty, so I'm happy it's not there. Now, I'll brake a little bit early here, just because I wasn't sure what was going to happen up ahead, but everyone brakes nice and easy here. So everyone is trying to race clean, there's just mistakes happening, because these cars are hard to control. And that's a big thing here. If you're in B, C, D, in the lobbies, the lower down you go, the more out of control people will be. And they're not trying to drive dirty, it's just the fact they are hard to control. Now, I accidentally cut that corner too much, and I'm going to give myself a half-second penalty there. So do be careful of that in the race, don't cut that too much. Piero, the Italian, up ahead, also does that. Nearly goes off as well, my word. Good catch. As we head towards the right-hander, we just get the move done on Lucky Extreme here. Into the braking zone we go. Lucky Extreme just getting the nose in there. Doesn't quite go for it. Gets hit from behind though. Not sure who hit Lucky Extreme there. That's a bit unfortunate. But through we go. We're having a good race there as well with Lucky Extreme. Into the right-hander we go. And the Spaniard on the left just outbrakes himself. So up another position. Shame we got this penalty really now, isn't it? As we come through this left-hander again. We're just trying to keep the car nice and steady. Low amount of braking happening. Just trail braking up to the corner there, not changing gear, make sure the weight doesn't shift too much. I'm going for a really wide line here. Now if you've got a penalty, I advise doing this, because what you're going to do is going to get a huge boost off the corner. Notice how the Spaniard's just dropping time for days here, because he saw the gap, thought he'd go for it, but he's not going to make it. And suddenly he lost a lot of time. We don't lose that much time then in this situation. We're also in the faster car to Piero. You see everyone is catching us, expected, but not as much as you should expect. And we are going to head towards turn one then. 3 wide potentially here. So here we go then. So the Spaniard just gets ahead here. Now I wasn't sure what was going to happen again, so breaking between those two markers. We're going to go 3 wide. A little bit unsure, so I'll sort of half back out of this. And we have some good little bit of racing there. Just ran out a little bit wide there, the Spaniard. And on the right side we've got Diddy and Lucky Extreme as well in here. Having a good battle with Lucky Extreme. It's good good fun race with Lucky Extreme, to be fair. Diddy goes for an absolute dive on the Spaniard. Makes it work somehow there, so good effort. In towards the right we go, and the Spaniard. Notice that weight transfer. They were doing like a Scandinavian flick there, and you saw the weight instantly come round, and I had to really back out of it. You see my oversteer as well. So if I'm struggling with the car, if you are that D-rated player, you may struggle with it, and that's why that newer modern car may be better for you. Continue racing. The Spaniard just goes off there. Dirt on their tyres. They're going to get more oversteer. So I think, okay, I'm going to go down the inside. They just cut across at the last second. I wasn't really happy with that move. That forced me to really back out and caused my car to get a little bit of oversteer. Into the braking zone we go. Good little move from Lucky Extreme. Unfortunately, we just tapped the Spaniard there. That's a mistake on my part. Lucky Extreme, brilliant move down the inside. Continue on. Oh, a little bit of oversteer. Catched it as well. Good effort. Into the right-hander we go. Oh, penalty there for the cut on the chicane. That's unfortunate. The French driver decides a little bit of a pit manoeuvre. Not sure what that was about, but we continue on. And then into the braking zone we go. So you see what I mean about the carnage? It's sort of just there, but I think in a lot of situations, it's not people, like we got hit there, but the French driver just lost the rear. It's not dirty driving, it's just people not being able to control the cars. And I think that's going to be critical to this race. Lucky Extreme goes off wide there. Going to come back on the circuit in a fairly safe-ish manner there. And just goes invisible at the penalty line. So you can argue that's actually a good way to return, I suppose. A bit scary, but yeah, we're going to finish P10 in this race. Say a bit carnagey, so if you do get frustrated quite quickly with contacts, a race to avoid. But you can have some good racing. We had a good race there with Lucky Extreme. Right, race B then, where the drama begins. Where we are at Spa, as you can see in the background, of course, a very obvious Spa circuit. Let's have a look at the race details first of all. We are racing 3 laps here at Spa-Francorchamps. We are, that's a terrible accent, I know. We have a rolling start and we are on the racing medium tyre. Now, FF cars actually are okay here. I do suspect FF cars will have some strong circuits on the game, but not here. But let's talk about the Group 4 class, because leading the way in the time trial is the McLaren 650S and the Jaguar F-Type. So they're the main go-to cars. However, I do believe you can try a few other cars in there as well. It seems to be that we are getting quite good races at the moment in that Group 4 category. As I say, there is some drama with this one. We are about to identify a driver that I would advise to avoid at all costs. So let's head to that race then, or races, because I'm about to show you 3 of them, and let's have a look at what actually happened. Here we are then, right into the race. And as you can see, we're racing a Spaniard here called Gallego 53. We're actually having quite a good race, to be fair. We had a good little race earlier on. We're having another good little race now. I thought it was going great, to be honest, you know. A good little bit of defensive driving there. So, goes to the left, so I'm going to the right. Looking, but we didn't quite have the move on there. So, you know, stepped out of it. Continue racing here. In towards the left we go. And, I'll say some good racing, in my opinion. I don't know about you folks, but I thought that was quite good racing. Anyway, in to here we go again. Some good side-by-side action. And, yeah, continue racing. All's happy days. What do you think, folks? All happy days. Anyway, we're going to have a run on the Spaniard here. We did catch them up as well, because we'd had a penalty for cutting an original Radion. And we continue on up here. Notice they start turning right now. They keep now starting to turn right. They started to push me off and lifting. I'm like, what the hell are you doing here? I had a bit of a rage here, I've got to be honest. Probably not the wisest thing for me to have a rage. But yeah, I just had a rage. I was just like, that's not acceptable. So I just had to try and do something not acceptable. They realised I was going to do that. See you later, mate. And yeah, they get reset. Rip. So yeah, that was the end of that one very quickly. So I was like, do you know what? I'll go again, because I'm not having just a race here ruined because of a moron who decided that for some reason he wanted to take me out after some good racing. I have no idea. So I just said, can we race clean this time, yeah? You know? And then they literally say, don't touch me. I didn't touch him in the first place. They started the whole, yeah, exactly. You tried to pump me. Well, anyway, let's get back with the race. I'm about to start the race, and where is it? Oh, it's not happened yet. Hang on, and there we go. Disconnect. Second time's a charm. Anyway, here we go with the actual race then. So as I say, Group 4, F-Type 650S's, a TT in there. Got an M4, keys in the M4 there. And RCZ, Snowflake, shout out to you as well. So Key obviously does YouTube, so you can check out Key as well. Key was streaming all this afternoon if you want to get a bit ahead of the video guide, of course. So do check out Key. Anyway, we're going to start the race now. And of course, with race B, we always start with the track guide on lap 1 usually, because that's normally the best time. It normally gets a bit carnagey towards the end of the race. Obviously, we're recreating the English dictionary here with the word carnagey. Anyway, let's get ready for the racing. Here we go. So obviously, you can see a lot of the grid starts before the chicane. I absolutely hate rolling starts here at Spa for that reason. But even so, we continue on. And there is some actual fantastic racing in this race. So round we go. I'm going to head towards turn 1. Now, turn 1, I've got a common brake marker that I say every time I'm at Spa-Francorchamps. I'll just say Spa from now on to not annoy anyone. But yes, the 100-meter board. Just after the 100-meter board, you can brake in the Jaguar F-Type. Nice and easy brake marker. Very unusual for that to get wiped out, unless we have something that happened in, what was it, F1 96, 7, when there was a big accident at Spa. We come through here, and GL, oh, look at that, bit of oversteer. We managed to avoid that, and we can continue racing there. Now, Erosion Radion, quite tricky, actually, in the F-Type, I found. Sometimes I'd understeer like badly, and sometimes I didn't. So, but obviously very weight sensitive. You see I lift off there. I would advise lifting off just a little bit on your first lap, and maybe even the second lap. Just gets you into the swing of it, and then the third lap you can start pushing the boundaries as you head for the end of the race there. So heading down towards the Lecombe chicane. I'm using the start the curb, as I always do here at Spa. Very easy marker to use. It's not going to get wiped out, of course, because it's a curb. So I basically use a start. You can see I'm braking just before that with the slipstream. GL, anything goes for a move down the inside. Some lovely racing. Good effort as well. So at this point I think, okay, I'm going to go for the cutback here. Now through the Lecombe section, it's all about balancing the cars. There's no real braking markers in there as well. We go for the cutback here. Beautiful racing as well. And then as we head towards the right-hander here, the start of the curve on the left hand side, that is what you use as a brake mark. As you see, you can clearly see it even when side by side. So that is what you're aiming for here. And a shout out to GL Editing here as well. Some cracking racing. This is the racing I like. Lovely stuff. Well played as we carry on here. So into the left we go. We look for that flag marker on the right side. You can see I'm braking just before it. Dab the brakes, chuck it in. I'm staying in third gear. Don't run too wide on the exit. That's where you can also get a penalty. I did that in time trial just beforehand as we come through there. So nice and easy. It's a bit slippy on the exit as well. So do be careful. Head towards Peugeot now. Very easy marker again. The flag marker, you just dab the brake, normally drop a gear, chuck it in, make sure you clip the curb, and you should be fine. Now this Jaguar likes to understeer a little bit, so you might have to delay the throttle just a little bit more. You notice I'm going to delay here, just rolling, and then when I'm happy I can continue on there. PX7, Dracori there, just runs a little bit wide, so I'm wondering where to go. I decided to go down the inside here, and then heading towards the right-hander here. Again, I'm just using the curb. You could use the board above us, but I use the curb here more often than not. You want to brake after that board, really. The gantry, should I say. So, third gear. You want to keep it really tight for this, and then really try and aim for a later apex here, and avoid the slippery stuff on the exit there. Heading towards this right-hander then. Again, the curb. I'm using curbs everywhere here, brake markers. They're very good, very handy to have, and you know they're not going to get wiped out. So once again, start the curve. You see I'm just braking just before it. When I do point out these markers, they're markers you use. So it's like you brake on them, sometimes you brake before them. You can see what I'm doing in the picture. So through the right-hander, a little bit of a lift. You don't normally have to lift. I just didn't clip the curb. If you do clip the curb, you shouldn't have to lift in any car really. As we continue on now, and we're going to be chasing down the Italian up ahead, who we also have a good race with. And same for the Brit up further ahead. So Blanchimon is flat. You can have, or you might have to lift like I did here. In the McLaren, it's flat. In other cars, it'll be flat as well. You just have to be careful of that. Headed towards the final chicane, the F-types brakes here seem to be rubbish for some reason. I don't know why. So I was actually having to brake just as we hit the 150 meter board here to make sure I actually made the corner. And in we go. And we're staying in second gear here to avoid any oversteer. First gear to get the turn in, and up to second gear quite quickly. You see the oversteer in first gear. That's why you want to be in second gear. A nice the track guide all done and dusted. But hey, we've got some cracking racing to come and some drama to boot. So sit back and relax with this one. Get a beer in your hand, or a Coke, or a cup of tea if you're British, I don't know. Anyway, we've got Matteo Mers 7 first in the Jaguar. So we've had a good run through Lazarus there. Let's see what we can do here, heading up Orujan Radion. So we're going to try and not lift as much this time. So we lift the first bit, and we nail the second bit a little bit better. Matteo does it a bit better, but we got a bit of dirty air there, so we have to lift off that tiny bit more. However, we do have a run now down the Kemmel Straight. I was expecting Matteo to defend here, but decides not to. So it sticks to the left. Potentially maybe thinking I was going to outbrake myself. I don't know. If you're watching Matteo, do let me know. Into the braking zone we go, and gives up that position. So up into P13. Brilliant stuff. Now we have Charlie up ahead. So let's actually advance a bit further on in the race then. And let's catch up to Charlie here. I've got Charlie bit my finger in my head now for some reason. That was a cracking old classic video. Hey, look up ahead. Look who's got a penalty. I was very scared at this point because I was like, oh, I don't want to be anywhere near this person. But anyway, we continue racing. And we've got Charlie up ahead in the Hyundai. Another new car that I didn't mention during the start line. We've got the Scirocco of Gallego. So in towards the brake zone we go. I wasn't going to go for the move here, but they broke quite early, so I thought, okay, I'll follow Charlie here. Fair, clean move, in my opinion, and we leave room on the inside. I thought I was going to get taken out here, but it didn't happen, so I was like, okay, maybe we're even now, maybe it's all just a weird situation, and we can carry on. Trust me, it's not! Anyway, we continue on. Through here we go. And we are in Charlie's slipstream here, so let's look see if we can get the move done down the inside. We've got a real good run. I should have really changed gear here, but I didn't. But into the braking zone we go, side by side with Charlie. Look at this for brilliant racing. So Charlie gets that done there. Potentially I played it too safe. Charlie sees the cutback coming along. Doesn't quite work for me. Matteo goes for a brilliant move down the inside. Very opportunistic there. I did see it on the radar, so left Matteo some space. Brilliant effort there by Matteo as well. But with line astern, once again, you see the big battle going up ahead. That's key. Lucas Ordonez is in there as well, and I think it's Snowflakes. So shout out to you three. To Lucas Ordonez, the first GT Academy winner, also a Spanish commentator for the GT events, and his real life GT3 driver as well, Lucas. He's done quite a lot of races in that category. Through here we go then, and still very close to Charlie here. So Charlie goes defensive, which is a perfect move to make here. It's a long, long way to go around the outside. But I'm actually not trying to overtake Charlie here. So in my head, while I was racing this, I was like, I want to overtake you, Charlie, on the straight before Blanchimont. That's where I'm going to try and go for it. So that's why I wasn't being too aggressive into that one. And this is where I did want to get aggressive very quickly. Slight lift there just to make sure I clip the curb flat then as we go through there. And you're going to see we're going to have a good run on Charlie here. As we look towards the outside on Blanchimont. A very dangerous move, but because of the racing we'd already had, me and Charlie, I was like, okay, maybe we could do this. So heading in towards his left, I'll just brake a little bit here. Realise I'm going to run out of road there. Charlie gives me just enough room. Superb driving by Charlie. I'll say shout out to you, Charlie. In towards the brakies, there we go. I think, okay, I'll try around the outside. Look on the radar. There's an Italian gone flying, but it's not the Italian's fault. We'll have a look at that in just a second. So the Italian gets punted. Then round we go, and we get actually punted. Twice. Oh, I wonder who that was. Yeah, we're going to have a look at that drama in a second. Anyway, I didn't know at the time that was that driver. I did have a sneaky spider sense. I was going, that Italian race perfectly clean before. Definitely wasn't his fault, that. So I decided to go have a look at the replay. I don't really do this very often. So we're on our favourite player, who we were talking about earlier on. And it seems like this is Momo's Spanish cousin, because coming into the braking zone here, potentially misses braking zone, I don't know, but absolutely rams the Italian, who, look at that, just getting stopped to be fair. Gets tapped by the Spaniard. Spaniard hits me. Look at that, full throttle now. Forces the McLaren driver off and spins me around. Horrible driving. What a moron. Anyway, let's head to race C then. And we'll talk about race B a little bit more in race C, because race C is not that good. What do you mean it's not that good, Tidge? It's Le Mans! It's Group 1! Surely it's good. Well, we're going to have a look at the race in just a second. Let's have a look at the race details first of all. We are racing 6 laps here at Le Mans. It's a rolling start. We have racing medium and hard tyres. Both are required. Fuel usage ×2, tyre wear ×7. Very easy strategy to understand here. Now, pit stops have been lengthened quite substantially, if you weren't aware. So, you can't do any funky 2 stops here. It is a 1 stop, and it's when you pit. We'll talk about the pit strategy in the race. Let's jump to that race, and we'll talk about the cars when we have a look at the grid. Right, here we are then with the grid. Hey, look, a Toyota on pole. We then have a Peugeot, a Porsche, a Toyota, a Peugeot, an Audi. Now, the Audi is probably one of the best in the time trial. However, you will have seen is in the 787B. That's currently top in the time trial in EMEA. So it's quite interesting. The Group C cars coming into play. I decided to pick the Peugeot. Reason being, I kind of assumed it would be good here. It's got generally good top speed. It's still got the downforce that you need. Because I think the downforce is needed for the chicanes, in my opinion. So yeah, kind of interesting choice of cars at the moment. But a Meta will come to the forefront at some point this week. I just don't know what it is yet. It could be the hybrids, but I doubt it. Stinky has an absolute horrendous start there. An absolute stinky of a start. Let's put it that way. That was terrible, I know. Sorry. Right, let's head towards turn 1 then, behind Elisura. In towards the braking zone we go, and we managed to stop it. Make sure you don't cut that corner too much. You cut that one a bit more, that's fine. And we leave there, fine and dandy. Now, don't worry, folks. This race is not this video is not another 20 minutes long. It's only got 9 minutes left. And the reason being is this race is actually really boring. You can see it's already stretched out here. Very stretched out already as we come through Tetra Rouge. And Elisura just goes a bit too wide here, going to get a penalty. And this is the problem with this race. It's just stretched out. It's just, yeah, there's not that much racing that actually happens. As we'll go forward, you will... yeah, you'll see that basically as we go on the inside of Elisura then, in towards the braking zone we're about to head. And if we look in the distance, I think I might zoom in here for you. There we go, look at that. We have a flying car. It's Bilbo. I never knew the ring did that to you. I thought it made you invisible, not fly, but there we go. We learn something new every day about Lord of the Rings. And it looks like Quinton might have been involved there, because Quinton's been absolutely nuked with a penalty. So the penalty system does exist. So yeah, we'll continue racing then. So up into P14, and we advance to the end of the lap, and we come in the pits. So we've started on hards, and yeah, that's what the strategy is. It's 1 on hard and the rest on mediums, generally speaking. You might be able to get away with 2 on hards, because of all the straights on Lazarus, basically. Yeah, it's just one of those things. So you can see pit time there, 37.1 seconds. It's actually less than that, I think. I'm not sure how far behind I actually was there, but I'll put it on screen for you, the actual pit stop length, as we continue on out of there. And we are actually going to advance a bit further on again here, because, as I say, there's not that much goes on. We've advanced a lap later Status quo, Quinton's closer to me. I made a mistake into the second chicane. Just outbrought myself a little bit. Nothing major. And then when I came on here, I knew Quinton would go by. And I actually, because I knew Quinton had already done a couple of races already, I was like, I could use Quinton here. Now the key with racing on Le Mans is you always try and race as smart as you can and race hard at the very end. That way you gain the most position. So I know Quinton's going to be faster than me here. Let Quinton go, use the slipstream, happy days. But look at that! Look at me giving the fingers on Quinton's car. Gives a little bit of a weave there as well. That was funny, wasn't it? I'm on everyone's car nowadays, aren't I? Anyway, through there we go. Don't run too wide on that corner. I'm going to do a full track guide later on, which if you're wondering why it's 9 minutes long, this video, or this section of the video is 9 minutes long, that's the reason I'm going to do a track guide for you. Make sure you get those brake markers down, because I actually struggled a little bit with the brake markers as well. So I'm going to give Quinton a little bit of bumper drafting. You can do that on this combo. But as I say, I'm going to help Quinton along, which should help me along, and as I say, race smarter, not harder in this situation. You can see a big group of cars up ahead. We can definitely catch up to that group. Anyway, we're going to advance a bit further on here. Basically what happens is Quinton brakes me, brakes the slipstream. Next lap we're at this situation where the Portuguese driver unfortunately has had a penalty, and we're going to go past the Audi there. Now the hybrid on the Audi does run out, which is why the Audi is probably not the best choice here. Quinton's had another penalty. This is lap 5 now. You see we're advancing very quickly through this race. Not much happens. We go past Quinton and also Gary in the Toyota. So in towards the braking zone we go. We get it stopped this time. Quinton right behind me there, trying to follow through. Gary just on the inside of Quinton, keeps that position for now. So we're going to advance out of there. We're going to go on to lap 6 because nothing much happens. So here we go with the track guide for Lazarus. So as you come into this right, you want to take a really wide line in, and you want to get the car straight and start braking before that total sign. That's a critical marker there. Now, I do have cones on as well. You see my cones haven't been wiped out if you want to keep them on, but that total sign is also a brake marker for you. Do not cut very much of that first part. You can cut more of the second part. I know I just did the opposite to what I just said there, but trust me, if you cut any more of that first corner than I did, you're getting a penalty. You don't want penalties here. They are very, very big. Now, on the right side, you've got a light or tannoy. That's what you use. It's the one before the corner. Nice and easy brake marker here. Again, you're going to drop... no, you don't drop a gear. You're saying fourth here. And the reason for that is it's a diesel car. You don't use that much of the gears. Through we go, or revs should I say. Head towards Tetra Rouge then on the right hand side. Where that tarmac starts to open up, you know, sort of the runoff on the inside, that's where I'd sort of brake, and then I'd sort of just want to let the car roll through the corner. The reason being, I don't want to unsteer off. So, you know, so just bounce the car and then carry on. Now, I've stopped it here. You don't want to run any more wide than this. It's better to lose a couple of attempts here in the race than to get a penalty. It really is. You saw how much Elisura just dropped off straight off the bat. You've seen how much Quinton lost in terms of the penalties. Very, very critical. You don't get penalties here because they just damage you so much on the straight here. So the brake marker here is as the barrier there. You see the sort of exit there, or the opening in the barrier. I brake just after this. In group 3, I brake at it. Just after it in group 1. And you can clip a lot of the first, and you want to keep it tight for the second. Do not run too wide on the exit. Do not run too wide at the exit. You will get a penalty. Again, avoid all penalties at all costs. Give Quinton a little bit of a bump there. Now you brake just before the 100-meter board here. You can see I'm just braking. That's where I was making the mistakes here. I kept braking just after it because I'm used to a brake marker actually further back. So this was kind of a much later brake marker than I'm used to. Again, keep it tight here. Again, do not run too wide at the exit. It's better to keep it tight and cut the curb on the inside than it is to cut the curb on the outside. Probably a rule of thumb there for you. As we head to Mulsanne Corner then, I'm using this curb as sort of my reference. So where the curb sticks out the most into the circuit, that's literally last of the late breakers, and that's where you can use. However, because I'm right behind Quinton, I brake a little bit earlier there. Use that curb as your marker there, whether it's at the start of it, middle of it, or as it's most intrudes the track there. Now we're going to have a bit of a race with Quinton. It's the final lap. This is the point where you start racing harder. We've gone from smart, racing smart, bumper drafting Quinton all along. Quinton knows this as well. Quinton's not dumb. He knows I'm going to start racing at this point. We've not got much more to go in the race. It's now the time to start racing. So Quinton does go defensive, which is expected. Indianapolis, a very hard corner to go too wide into here, but you use that dark green as your reference. Normally I brake a little bit here, make sure the car remains stable. Doing it flat, risky as anything, really is. But I brake a bit more because I'm on the inside or outside of Quinton, and then you want to straight line brake then the final part of it. Same third gear if you're in the Peugeot. As you head towards Arnage on the right hand side, you've got the last tree there on the right hand side. That's what I use as a brake marker here. It's very good for your peripheral vision because when that's gone, you should have be braking at that point. So in we go, second gear. Be careful on exit because you will get a lot of oversteer. You see Nico very nicely disconnected on the left-hand side of the circuit, so we'll go through nice and cleanly. Thank you for that, Nico. Imagine if you could disconnect that perfectly more often, but many people could, like I did in the first race, I suppose. Disconnecting at the back because I'm that kind. Anyway, we continue on towards the Porsche Curves. Again, the sort of dark green AstroTurf on the left-hand side. Very good marker. You're going to brake and sort of drop a gear in there. And basically, you want to make sure you keep it tight for the first part. We actually keep it in 5th gear. Normally I drop to 4th. Unusual, but I would recommend dropping to 4th there. Notice I'm then doing it flat here. Lifting a little bit. And then lift again for this one. Just bounce the car and keep it towards the right hand side. So I've highlighted this white line here. As the white line goes straight, you can just see it go straight here. That's when you're going to dab and sort of turn in the car. Sometimes you don't have to dab the brake, sometimes you will. Depends if you've got dirty air or carrying too much speed. Notice I clip the curb on the inside, avoid going too wide as Quinton did there on the exit. Now heading towards the last corner. On the right hand side, we have some barrier colour changes which are very helpful. So where it goes from dark grey to light grey, use that. Sometimes I use the pit curbing, which you can see a bit further ahead, but this time I'm going to use that. Very nice, easy, because I know if I break at that, I'm going to survive here. Going to drop to 3rd gear. And Quinton's going to go for the move of all moves here. Doesn't quite work out, but in terms for us, we're going to look at that curb in there in terms of the track guide. We're going to brake and turn in. I would recommend staying in 3rd gear. Sometimes 2nd's better because you will bog down a little bit, but you will get a lot of wheel spin on exit, so 3rd gear can be useful. But stay status quo, we're in P7. How do we get all those positions? Literally the undercut with the medium tyres. We didn't really see anyone. It's a pretty boring race. I've got to be honest. I was very bored during this race. Yeah. And that's why the thumbnail's got a thumb down. I do hope you did enjoy this one. I'm going to put Ollie's stream on there for you to check out. Ollie will be streaming later. In fact, Ollie will be streaming right now because this video is quite long. I'll put another video there if you want to check out that on my channel about tracks, new tracks for Gran Turismo. And my logo's there if you want to subscribe. Do like it if you like it, but I will see you again in another video or live stream very soon.